Tom Brady commented on his Let's Go podcast. And last year, we didn't get enough of the Let's Go podcast, which I think I signed you to.
Yeah, and we took some looks, but like, Tony kind of referenced there a little early on when you said Tom Brady said some things. There wasn't a lot to be said on the Let's Go podcast usually.
Okay, so that is not the case. I assume he said a lot of things, but for whatever reason, nobody was listening to it last year.
Right.
Nobody was getting any clips. I was excited about it because Tom Brady was on Monday on this Let's Go podcast. Aaron Rodgers on Tuesday. Those two were the finalists basically for the MVP this past year. We're getting to hear them speak in an unfiltered fashion. It's starting to happen now with more people.
Yep.
Micah Parsons doing it. I think Josh Allen was announced to do it. Obviously, Aaron's doing it. Tom's continuing to do it. This is good news for everybody. And on the first Let's Go podcast, I believe, of this season, alongside Larry Fitzgerald and Jim Gray, a Sirius XM podcast, Tom was asked by Jim Gray, sponsored by Ruth's Chris, I think.
Yeah, Ruth's Chris, one of the many sponsors.
Yeah, I think Ruth's Christmas was a family dinner. Jim Gray asked Tom Brady about what is going on and what about the 11 days. And Tom Brady's answer was interesting. And there's one omission from his speech that everybody is saying is quite glaring.
But do you notice a difference? Is there a difference now? And if so, how would you describe it?
Yeah, I think there's a good difference. I think for all of us, as you get older, life changes quite a bit. I think there's different responsibilities that take form in your life. There's different perspective you gain. When I was 25, all I did was think about football. That was my life. It was eat, sleep, drink, football. Because it was my profession. It was my career. And then over time, other priorities develop because, you change and evolve through life and you grow in different ways. So, you take on these different responsibilities of family and commitment and so forth, and you commit time and energy to those things. So even though once at 25, was I a good football player? Then I was pretty good. I think I'm a better football player now, obviously. But that also comes with a lot of other aspects of life that continue to change because it is your life. And I think I alluded to a few weeks ago, everyone deals with different things in their life. And, because you play out on a big stage and a big, there's a big camera that's always on you. You're living your life, but you're living your sports life too. And they're covering sports, but they're covering your life too. And you're living your life, and you can't stop your life even though sports is happening. So even though I'm, playing in my 23rd year, I have a freshman in high school that's playing football too. I have, a 12-year-old that's going through his life. I have a 9-year-old that's going through her life. So. And I have parents, and I have, a lot of things that are really important, off-field pursuits and goals that you're trying to maximize as well. So, we all have different things that are going on. And I think once football season comes, I really lock in on what I need to do and how I need to focus and the kind of commitment I need to make for the organization so that we can maximize our potential as a team. And that's the commitment I've always made, and I've tried to do that in the best way possible and try to bring as much joy as I can to the people that are watching. I never felt like I ever wanted to cheat anyone with that.
Well, a couple things said there at the end. Most joy for people. He definitely got booted to Hall of Fame just a couple years ago because how much pain and agony he has brought to a lot of people out of his greatness. And he said he never cheated anybody out of any of that. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, ain't that interesting? Where's the ball inflation?" But Tom Brady obviously going through some shit at home. I think that is what the internet is saying immediately after this. And we all need to be supportive of them being humans, being adults, and going through a marital relationship that everybody else is experiencing if you are married. If you're retired and you think your life's going to be vastly different, then all of a sudden, just a few days later, you go, actually, I'm going right back into that thing. Yeah. To prove what? To do what? What are you doing? There's still more to figure out. You can see how that maybe becomes a little bit of a conversation. That's the case. If this is revenge season, revenge body season, I'm not saying they broke up. I'm not talking about anything. This is what the internet's saying. I'm just relaying a message, and I'm trying to sniff out what the truth is.
All you have to do.
Sure. Because this is journalism. If this is revenge body season for Tom Brady, fucking look out.
Yeah.
I was actually kind of down on Tampa Bay Buccaneers because with all these distractions, I don't care how many superstars you have, how many goats you got out in the pasture, distractions are not making that's not an easy thing to win alongside because it's already hard enough to win an NFL game, especially with some injuries in some key places. Not that I don't think old Hainsey, Bob Hainsey's not going to be able to do a trick with Jensen out there, but you're losing an all-pro basically Tom Brady's. There's a lot of, who knows what's going on. Now that I'm here, maybe he's just fully focused on football, and also his oldest son's Jack going into a freshman football. Got to set the standard for him. I'm all the way back in on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I don't think that's exactly how everybody else viewed that conversation they just heard from Let's Go podcast.
Well, I think it could go one of two ways, too. That is the first thing I thought, too, is like, oh, fuck, Tom's locked in. Punch the ticket to the Bucs going to the Super Bowl right now. But you also look at it on the other side. It's like if there really is, what they're reporting with all the marital stuff with
drama.
Yeah, exactly. Giselle going to Puerto Rico or whatever it was that TMZ. Yeah, bingo. But also
that's we led into it.
Yeah. But also like, how doesn't that hang over your head? If you're not just like, because if he does just dive head in, it's like, does that solve anything? You assume that just makes everything in his personal life worse. And as the season drags on and it requires more time and attention when the games start to matter more, like that I feel like that is a tough thing to balance.
I think Tom Brady only knows one way, right?
Yeah.
I think that he only knows one way, and obviously that way was something that he had naturally, but then Bill Belichick, molded him even more so into how he should be spent. I think his work ethic was always incredible.
Yeah.
People say, well, his photo combine, we were proud of him.
Sure.
Like, hey, this guy's working hard on his body. But I think he was always like a perfectionist, like a kind of over-compulsive, excessive compulsive, excessively compulsive on a lot of things. And then he was just kind of waiting for his opportunity. And then obviously in New England he did. So I think him, with his work ethic, with his drive, with his passion, with his entire buy-in-ness to every single season. When he said he was 25, all he did was eat, sleep, drink, football. I mean, he was also going on and winning a bunch at that point too.
Yeah.
So it's like his entire life has brought a lot of riches and success with him doing things the way he has done things on the football field. Now, I don't want this to be like TMZ around here because we have no reason to be talking about anybody. But Giselle was also the GOAT, right?
Oh, yeah.
She was
Big
also,
time.
And in that documentary, the
Man in the Arena.
The Man in the Arena, they even talked about how Giselle had to put her, like, a lot of her opportunities to the side because Tom with football. So whenever you see that type of thing in the documentary, you have to wonder yourself, whenever he decides to retire, do you think Giselle was maybe thinking like, okay, now I can focus and do some shit, and then all of a sudden, he's like, actually, I'm going right back into that where I am. You know the deal. I'm watching film all the time. Even when I'm on a Manning cast, I'm fucking watching film in there because I have to be excessively compulsive about it now, not only because I'm trying to build a reputation like I did whenever I was 25. Now I got to hang on to it. When motherfuckers see Tom Brady, this ain't the, I'm old and broke tour where you can barely get the words out into the microphone when some of these singers hang on for one last payday. Tom Brady's like, I ain't going out like that, so I have to do exactly everything I've done for this entire time, the last 22 years. And I assume that was probably a pretty big talking point within the household. And you could see how that's the case, but you could also see how Tom maybe goes, this is the only thing that has brought me happiness, success.
Yeah.
Everything I've ever wanted in my life has come from this sport. Probably going to be difficult for Tom to let it go.
Yeah.
Impossible.
So probably
really.
going to be difficult for Tom to let it go. So whenever, your significant other says, I've put everything on hold for you for 2 decades, basically.
Yeah.
I've had opportunities to do a lot of things. She has. I think she's had a lot of success. Everybody's always talked about it. But there's probably more that she's probably been able to, could have tapped into if she didn't have to worry about everything else that while Tom was doing his thing. And then now she's like realizing that maybe it's not going to be as easy for him to hang it up as everybody thinks. He had $375 million waiting for him. That wasn't enough.
Yeah. He still said no.
Yeah, he still said no. It's like maybe that realization is becoming a thing. Maybe his kids. It just feels like Tom's got a lot of shit going on at home. We would like to thank Tom for his sacrifices at home for all of us as football fans.
Yeah. Thank you, Tom.
Hey, that doesn't change your situation at home at all.
Not one bit.
No. Not one fucking bit does that make your life easier. But I'd like to let you know we appreciate your sacrifices and all that you've done for the league and for the game. And good luck. At home.
Luck is right.
That seems like it's going to be an interesting situation for some time to come.